Hey guys, Quinn David Furness coming to you live with a review for Stranger Things Season 3. Stranger Things, of course, the show set in fictional Hawksville, Indiana. You got Winona Ryder, David Harbour, a whole bunch of kids. Joe Keery went to DePaul represent. And, you know, it's just a good time, and there are some monsters, and they're doing lots of crazy stuff. So we're going to go ahead, let's jump into a Season 3 full review here. Things I like, things I didn't like. Of course, as always with Q Reviews, full spoilers ahead, so if you haven't checked out Season 3 yet, pump the brakes, Jack. Alright, so first thing to know about Stranger Things Season 3, David Harbour. What on earth were they doing with him? You know, in the first two seasons, he's this lovable cop, a little bit rough around the edges, but he's a nice guy. He's great to Winona, he's great to Millie Bobby Brown. He's just a protagonist that you can root for, and he's got the mustache, the dad bod, all that good stuff. Well, fast forward to Season 3 here. He's alcoholic, he's emotionally, verbally abusive. He's just an all-around terrible guy, and there really aren't very many redeeming qualities going on with David Harbour in this season. So it really feels like they messed it up big time, and obviously it was such a blatant and obvious character choice by the Duffer Brothers in this season. So they had to have something in mind while they were going on with it. But boy, it just didn't come together at the end. It really sucked. And then when he dies at the end, you're like, well, you know, this is sad because I like David Harbour, but he's actually been kind of a douche this whole season, so I'm not really sure what to make of that. Plowing ahead here, though, that was probably my least favorite thing. Number two, something I really didn't like, Millie Bobby Brown. What's the deal with her powers? Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Sometimes she's really powerful, sometimes she's not powerful at all. You never know what you're going to get. It's whatever's convenient for the plot, which is the problem with psychic powers. It doesn't allow you to really base anything off of previous human experience. So when we're sitting there watching it as viewers, it rarely ever works. It was kind of cool the first season. The second season, it got a little sweaty. She kind of spent the whole time off by herself and then comes in and saves the day at the end. I mean, I appreciated that they did something different with her character this time, but it was just like, what are her powers? Why did she lose them? They don't really care to explain, so that really frustrated me. I thought they completely forgot about the familial relationships that they had set up in the first two seasons. So for instance, you know, Winona and Bullcut Jr., they're a family, but you wouldn't really know it from Season 3. You got Wolfhard and Natalia. You wouldn't know they were siblings. Even Redhead and Redhead Sr., Dacre Montgomery, they're sibs, but Redhead Jr. doesn't really even seem to care about it until the end when, spoiler, Dacre dies. So you're like, these are some of the best parts about Stranger Things, the fact that we've got these families interwoven with each other, duking it out, you know, love stories, all that stuff, and we just kind of got none of that in this season. One of my favorite parts of Stranger Things 1 and 2 were the relationships between those siblings, and you're just kind of hung out to dry there. So that was really disappointing across the board. Something else that I really didn't like, and let's talk about it for one sec, the Coke placement. This is all things from the last episode. The Coke placement, what they decided to do with the never-ending story, just it didn't really work out. David Harbour versus the Terminator, he's gotten his ass kicked the whole time through the first 7 episodes, and then all of a sudden he can beat him. It doesn't really make sense why David Harbour is now able to overpower him. Speaking of the Terminator, these Russian villains, man, I get it that they're kind of one-dimensional as an homage to 80s movies, Red Dawn, etc., but it doesn't feel like anything's at stake. Why are they all trying to open up the Upside Down? Doesn't matter, not explained. What are they doing in Hawkins? Why did they dig beneath the mall? It's just like, how do they build that huge enterprise without any Americans knowing? It's just, we don't really get any explanation, but it's not like cool and mysterious. It's just like, you don't really feel anything when the bad guys get beaten up, so it's just kind of frustrating. One of my last points here, Natalia and Bullcut. they pretty much spend this whole show, or this whole season, they're working with the paper, and it doesn't really feel like they do anything, right? It kind of feels like Finn and Rose in Star Wars 8, where they're just off to the side, not doing much. Doesn't really matter to the plot. We'll only bring them in when convenient because we don't really know what to do with them. It was frustrating. They were boring. Jonathan Bolcutt, right? One of my favorite characters of the first 2 seasons. This season, he's super flat. They gave him no development, no time spent with any of the other main characters besides Natalia, and she was really given nothing to do either. So overall, flat. Didn't love it. Didn't really feel like it was that creative. But hey, you let us know in the comments. Stranger Things Season 3. What did you like? What didn't you like? Thanks for tuning into my review, guys. As always, you can go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button if you know what's good for you. Check out a new Beantown podcast every week. We got the Beantown blog going. Head to beantownpodcast.com. Link is in the description. All right, thanks for tuning in. Have a great night, guys.